Tensions in the Middle East have escalated sharply once again. Iran announced early Saturday morning that it has launched missile and drone attacks against Israel. At the same time, Tehran claimed that U.S. military bases stationed in 4 Gulf countries, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, were also targeted. Following the reported attacks, all 4 countries temporarily closed their airspace as a precautionary measure. In an official statement, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, said that the first phase of a broad missile and drone operation had begun in response to what it described as joint aggression by the United States and Israel. According to Tehran, this operation is a direct act of self-defense. Iran's Interior and Foreign Ministries issued separate statements accusing the United States and Israel of violating international law and infringing upon Iran's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Earlier on Saturday, explosions were reported in multiple areas of Tehran. International news agency AFP reported seeing plumes of smoke rising over the capital. Israel's defense ministry claimed responsibility for strikes targeting multiple military and strategic facilities in Tehran. An Israeli official told reporters that several government ministry buildings in southern Tehran were also hit. Iran's state news agency Fars reported that explosions were also heard in Qom, Karaj, Kerman, and Shahryar. In a separate statement, Iran described the U.S.-Israeli attacks as violations of international law and the United Nations Charter. Tehran cited Article 51 of the UN Charter, emphasizing its right to self-defense. Iranian officials stated that the country's armed forces are fully prepared to defend the nation and warned that aggressors would regret their actions. Washington has also confirmed the strikes. U.S. security officials stated that American forces coordinated with Israel in targeting specific sites inside Iran. It is worth noting that in June 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump had previously ordered airstrikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. At that time, after 12 days of conflict, tensions had somewhat de-escalated. However, analysts warn that this latest round of strikes, centered around Tehran, could potentially escalate into a prolonged conflict. In January, the United States deployed additional fighter jets, air defense systems, and an aircraft carrier to the Middle East. Although Washington maintained communication with regional allies, the exact timing and scope of the current strikes remained uncertain until the last moment. Previously, the Trump administration had increased pressure on Tehran, accusing it of suppressing domestic protests. Gulf nations have largely been reluctant to become directly involved in military escalation. Diplomatic sources say that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Oman had urged the United States to avoid launching attacks on Iran. The region hosts several U.S. and NATO military bases, which could become potential targets of Iranian retaliation. In the past, Iran has carried out limited strikes on the Al Udeid airbase in Qatar. At that time, prior warnings reportedly helped minimize casualties. Experts believe the current situation is more complex. Amid internal political pressure and domestic unrest, external attacks may be viewed by Iran's leadership as an existential threat, potentially prompting a stronger response. Another major concern is rising tension in the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes. Any disruption in this strategic waterway could trigger significant shocks in global energy markets. Meanwhile, Israeli authorities have stated that they have strengthened defensive measures in anticipation of possible retaliatory strikes. Regional air traffic has been disrupted, and several countries have issued travel advisories urging their citizens to exercise caution.